It's August 12th, 2005, and this is Tom Van Zorn here with the Burfiend family at Burfiend Farm, and we're going to look around the farm a little bit. This is Mr. George Burfiend, who's a cousin to Jack Barrett, and he's here with his wife Sue Burfiend, I take it? Yeah. And here we have Orrin, his grandson, and Colt, another grandson, and George's daughter Peggy. Polly, I'm sorry. Very good.
You did good on all those names.
Oh, I blew it at the end. Okay.
Would like you.
And of course this is our landscape architect, Kim Mann.
I'm the historical architect.
Isn't that what I said?
No, you said landscape.
Oh, yeah, historic architect.
Yeah, I would be pretty poor as a landscape architect.
Oh, I think you could handle it. Could you tell once more, George, your parents were whom?
Howard and Orpha Burfiend.
Oh, okay. You were son of Howard, who had the farm last before the park took over, right?
Right.
Okay, very good.
And Orpha was the daughter of Dr. George Freilich.
Yes.
Took care of people all around this neck of the woods until he got too cold in his buggy one time and got pneumonia and died when he was only 53.
Oh, he died that early.
Yes.
That's amazing, because you do hear a lot of people talk about old Dr. Freilich, various old-timers.
Wind.
The washing machine came,
Louise, why don't
and
we start walking
the guy
the lane?
pulled in here and thrashed, and then at the end there was a bill, and my dad was wondering just how in the world he was going to pay him. And when he got all done, he said, Howard, he said, I'm writing that off. He said, I owed Doc Freilich medical bills, and of course he was dead then. And he said, just sign her off.
Dr. Freilich would write him off when he knew the patient might be having a hard time.
Yeah. Took pay and chickens and eggs and
whatever the people could do.
Yeah. Was that you weren't free to do anything here except what was approved by the park, and if you ever wanted to sell any of it, you had to sell it to the park.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That, like I say, that was my understanding of it.
Yeah, maybe the fact that he was going to be so bound and constricted by the government, he didn't want to live that way.
Yeah, that's what I really understood from it. But of course, since then, like the Barretts over here, they've kept the Baker farm, I understand.
Yeah, and they've been permitted to make quite a few improvements.
Yeah. It's out there, that's come in, it's some kind of an interloper. I don't know what kind of a tree that is.
Looks like a willow.
Well, I wondered if it was, but I'd be surprised. Now, in that little study they had, they called those sugar maple, but they're red maple.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. They said that to put them there because they understood that we tapped trees. Well, we did, but not those.
Oh, yeah.
Now, a few years my brother tapped the maple trees in the grove.
Along the bluff.
Yeah, that along the top here.
You called that the grove?
Yeah, that's what we always called the grove. Yeah. There's one really large black cherry tree in there.
Yeah?
Yeah, shoot, the last time I was there, it was probably 18 or 20 inches in diameter, and I don't know what it would be now.
Wow. So
now, this building here, of course, the garage on that side, this end, that was the ice house. Where that door goes in there?
Yeah, that was an ice house?
Yeah. If you get in there, you see the walls are fairly thick. Probably some sawdust left in them. The walls were filled with sawdust, and they filled it. There was a pit down, 3.5 feet deep, and they filled that in and then poured that cement floor on there after electricity came.
Okay, so they dug it down, excavated down 3 foot, and had poured a floor down there so that it's partially...
Well, the floor is up level now, but when they used it as an ice house, there was the pit.
Oh.
So they put the ice down below and keep on going clear up. Well, you could see the door in there from the stairs. It's quite high. And then after they didn't need ice anymore, they filled the pit and poured the floor level with the ground. That's what's there now.
Oh, they poured the floor level with the ground. Oh, they filled it all in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What we call the pump house. 'Cause that's where the well
This
is.
corner of the.
Of the ice house. The ice house goes right over here to about. The ice house goes right over to about there.
Okay.
From here on this corner was the pump house. See, those holes were where the exhaust came out from the gasoline engines to run the pump.
Oh. So was the well inside there?
Yeah, yeah. And the well is right down there.
Okay.
Can't see in there. But
Okay. Well, we could probably.
88 or 87.
Was the last time you've been in this house?
Yep.
Ah.
That shelf up there, she'd keep crackers and stuff like that that they didn't want to get too much moisture.
Okay. Huh.
And old times we had a big tank here that with hot water. There was a coil in the stove, the kitchen stove, and one in the furnace down below. And that's where we got the hot water.
Now, was the kitchen stove you're talking about here? What was that fueled by?
Well, originally, or for a long time, it was by wood. Mm-hmm. And then after we got electricity, and it was a while we had a combination wood and electric.
Mm-hmm. And that's how you heated your water, with either the wood or the electricity that was running the stove?
Yeah, and the basement furnace was also wood,
Uh-huh.
and that had a coil in it. So
Oh. Just a copper tubing that
yeah, it was kind of I don't know whether they make them anymore. And it was a special thing that would go around the inside of the furnace or run down the side of a cook stove.
Oh.
You know, inside, but
Mm-hmm.
a special metal.
Mm-hmm. And the tank that the hot water went to is right here
Yeah, it was
in
a
the
big
kitchen.
galvanized tank. It wasn't insulated or anything. It was you know, just a tank.
And you just tap right out of the tank in the kitchen to get your hot water.
Yeah, ran over there to the sink and back to the bathroom.
It did run back to the bath, and it was pressurized?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. Yeah, we had it. Well, it's gone now, but you can see those metal tanks, or metal foundations out there. That round oval like that, that was...
Oh, outside.
Yeah, that's where the
Okay.
pressure tank ended up. It was in the basement. And then after they didn't need that, when we got electricity and you could have electric pumps, my brother took that tank out from the basement and put it out there and used it as a gas tank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was down in the basement, so it was a 500-gallon pressure tank. So when you
Wow.
pumped it up, it lasted a while.
I guess.
But of course it had to, because you didn't want to start the gasoline motor every time or in that gasoline engine. It was a stationary engine.
Oh, it was pressurized by a gas engine.
Yeah, the gas engine ran a pump jack.
Mm-hmm.
Pumped her in.
Okay.
Well, yeah, dining room. Or I guess they called it the breakfast room. Why that was in those days, but they had, and that's where we ate most all the time. Once in a while when we had company, we'd go in there, and that would be the dining room.
So, just to make it clear on the tape here, this is the room just to the west of the kitchen that you're saying was the breakfast room.
Right.
And then another room beyond that toward the lake was the real dining room?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Papa, I found some cups and some toothpicks.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, there's small little cups up in there. In the corner.
Right. They're around the corner, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you better leave them some.
So this was the breakfast room right here. And you could pass the food through the little chute here.
Yeah, yeah.
Was there a particular reason, do you think, why you had a separate breakfast room versus the rest of the dining room? The regular dining room?
I don't know. I know my mother, I think they had either purchased the plan or the contractor that built the house had the plan, and they felt they had to stick with it, because my mother always wanted to take that wall out and make this all into the kitchen. And you know, it'd be like many farmhouses where they ate in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then they'd have this dining room in here for on other occasions, so.
Yeah. Okay, Colt has got some information for us here.
This is where Papa slept.
Papa being your grandpa?
No, right over here. This is my dad and mom.
Oh, this, and let's see, George, are we in the southeast corner of the house here?
That's east and south. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is where your parents had their master bedroom, or
Yeah.
so to speak? Okay. Little problem there, somebody's gonna have to fix up.
The roof must have leaked, huh?
Yeah, I think there was a period of time when they didn't have the roof in good repair, but
Yeah.
now it should be stabilized.
Yeah. Our air conditioning was you'd open that window and that window up there.
Up in the attic?
Yeah.
Yeah, and get the chimney effect,
Yeah.
the air moving through?
Yeah.
Look at, I didn't have any idea Tom and Bruce came in something that thin.
Yeah. This was the floor out of the house in Maple City.
Okay, that's where the man got the idea. Kim understood from some guy that used to come here and kind of hang around. He talked about Dr. Fraley, but he led him to believe that the house was just simply moved from
No.
over there.
No.
So this came out of the house in Maple City.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of lumber do you think it is? And look at this. What was the reason for the groove on the underside?
Well, I don't really know what the.
Wow.
But that's where it came from.
And there's the subfloor, boys. You want to look at this. This is, see, the other boards are in here and they run at an angle.
Yeah.
Wonder what they were.
So
I think they were all pine, the subfloor.
were you saying that the flooring came out of the Freilich home in Maple City?
Yes.
Your grandparents?
Yes. Yes, that, and then over there where that plate glass window was, in the dining room, that big window
That's right.
was,
That
came from
Maple City.
Maple City house, and my sister and brother-in-law wanted it and they took it out.
I see.
It was gone before it went to the park
Kim
service.
didn't realize your mom was here as late as she was.
Oh.
George's mother lived in this house till
Yeah.
1985.
Yeah, that was late 70s.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the park bought the place in 76, sometime in 76 they signed the papers with them, right?
Yeah.
And the family was to have it for 10 years. But she had to go with his brother when they went to South Carolina. So, but I don't think it hurt her feelings by then, especially after watching the barn burn.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it was not lightning. I'm remembering that right. It was,
Yeah.
You guys think
Kind
it was
of
arson?
bums.
Okay.
well, just stupidity.
Yeah.
Some kind of what?
Stupidity.
No, but you said thumbs or?
Bums.
Bums.
Oh.
Yeah.
They were locked up then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and they'd
you
go in
have
and
to.
play in the hay and burn the place down. So,
But in that report, you know, that they made at Port Nida
Yeah.
study area, they said that this house, I can't remember, fair or
Right,
good condition or something like that.
right.
But they also said that it was altered.
Okay, and it wasn't. Okay, well, that's good to know.
Now, I thought they might have thought, well, okay, it's got electricity in it, now, it didn't have when it was built.
No, pretty much the way it was when it was built. We were figuring out it probably was built about 1927. Is that about right?
Yeah, 27 or 28.
Okay.
Because my sister would have been born. Yeah, I was born in 31. Beck was born in 30, 28. And Agnes lived over there, so it was towards the end of 28. I would
Okay.
say.
Towards the end of 28 it was
Yeah.
built. Okay.
And it finished up and they moved over here because I remember Mom and Dad lived with Grandma and Grandpa over there.
Okay.
And then they came over here. So when I first was here, it was a pretty new house.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a little kid, like Orrin or
Yeah.
Mom, and my mother said, would tell different people when they come, that they promised them when they built this, that the line would come through shortly.
Oh.
Well, I didn't know what they was talking
Yeah,
about.
so you're talking about.
I'd look at them things and see if they were growing.
Do you remember when Rural Electric came in here? What year?
It was 1940. See, I was maybe 40. It was during the war, I think.
Okay,
40,
so
42
during World War
or
II.
43.
Okay.
Yeah. The way that happened is at that time my dad was road commissioner and the AAA chairman, and he was talking to the REA man, and it came out in their conversation that we didn't have electricity yet. And the guy said, well, I'll see if I can't do something about that. He said, Consumers Power has the right to come there, and they were in Glen Arbor. And he said, but they're not, we are. And he called me, I mean, tell you what, the surveying crew was giving them just a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah. They didn't know what?
So you thank your dad for bringing rural electricity.
Yeah,
Down
yeah,
49 Road.
Yeah, matter of fact, see, nobody had it. See, the end of the electric was there about a Crystal River.
Okay.
And so everything this way, Thorson's and all that, they put all that line in really all at once.
Wow.
I know in the report they say Tut's got electricity first. I don't know, who flipped the switch first, but
Exactly.
it was all turned on here at the same time. As a matter of fact, we had our barn wired and stuff because we knew pretty soon electricity was going to come. Now that one wired when it was new, we wired in at that time. And they turned it on in December, electricity. And that was the darkest time of the year, as you know.
Yeah.
Short days. And of course the barn was dark anyway. We did chores with kerosene lanterns. I'd have a kerosene lantern and my dad would, and that's all there was in that big barn. And we turned those lights on and inside of a week, all our cows, their eyes were just draining them like crazy. And so we went and saw, he was a retired vet because we didn't have any vet in this area. Everybody gone to the war.
Mm-hmm.
And the vet said, well, you got pink eye in those cattle. And so he was talking to us, and Dad said, well, how do we get pink eye in? And we discussed it around. And when Dad told him that we just got the lights, and he'd come at night and look at them if he wanted to. He said, that's where your pink eye came
From the lights.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was so right that he could keep the cows pink eye.
Wow.
We had to go in there and treat all those 50-headed cows for boric acid in their eyes.
Jeez.
So that's something I always remembered about the electric.
And so you were talking about the barn that was built about the same time the electricity came through. So the barn was built in the 40s, or was it built earlier?
No, the barn was built before the house.
Oh, before this, it had been built before 1928.
Yeah,
Okay.
they just finished. They started, I don't know just when, but I remember my sister and them telling about it. And I think she was 2. And some way or another she got loose from my dad or somebody down there. And she climbed the ladder up onto the roof of that barn.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even, the roof wasn't on yet.
Wow.
So, see, that would have made it like 30 that the barn was finished.
Right.
I think it was around 30th they put the last of it in. And they had this house building project going at the same time.
Wow, that was a busy
Yeah,
time here on the farm.
Yeah. And they moved the granary from the old barn place over here. They moved it down there. And I think we called it the shop, they called it a butchering shed in the write-up.
Yeah.
That was built from lumber taken from both, not, if you say that's the old house, the old house.
Old one was down by where the lilac trees are, right?
Yeah, on the other side of the lilac trees,
structure.
yeah. And the beams that were in the barn were some out of the old barn and some out of that old house. They were hand hewed 18 by 18 beams. And so it was really too bad to lose that because there was a long, long history there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
This seems to have been one of the more prosperous farms in the area. Was some of that from your grandfather having been a doctor, do you believe, for financing some of the building projects and so on?
What they did is, the money that you might say they might have got from Grandpa Fairley's estate, now that didn't include the cottage that he had on Ben Lake, because that my folks sold after they built this. But they put in bonds. If you wanted to raise my dad straight out of the chair, you start talking about that. Because there was a salesman there, and he said, and Dad, of course, was suspicious. He said, well, sure that money's going to be good. Because my mom said, well, it ought to be earning us interest until we build.
Right.
And the guy said to him, look at here, the state and the seal of the state of Michigan is on those bonds, and you know they're good. So they went along with it. It was less than 2 weeks, and
Market crash.
there was nothing. The bonds were nothing. He knew it when he sold it, and who knows where the money went. So what Dr. Fraley could have contributed to went to somebody else.
Wow.
And because during World War II, they had a price support on potatoes. Price support, and they were encouraging everybody to grow potatoes. Because we didn't grow too many potatoes here other than our own use, because they're pretty hard on the land. They take a lot of, and so Dad said, well, I think we ought to grow some spuds this year. And over in Good Harbor, there was a guy that did grow potatoes, and he was a friend of my dad's, and he said, I'll come over and spray them. You won't have to buy a sprayer and such. And so north of the barn there, we put in 5 acres of potatoes, and they did pretty good. And the next year, we put straight out from the house here, we blocked off 5 acres out of that field and put them in. And I mean, that was a hummer of a crop.
Wow.
Yeah, there was over 2,000 bushels of green leaf potatoes. And he sold those, and I remember, of course it was hard work.
Yeah, no kidding. And where would you sell something like that? How did you sell the potatoes? Like by truck? It was
Yeah,
like
see,
truck?
at that time, there was a farmer's co-op in Lake Lulinol.
Okay.
I was showing the boys where just about, well, it was right across from NJ's grocery
Right.
store.
Right there.
There was a building there that and that's, they bought the potatoes. There could have been several places they went because we just got the support price and that was it, you know. They came here and graded them and loaded them on the truck, and within a few days we had a check for them.
Wow.
But and I always had to remember what the support price was, but felt pretty good, and they used that to pay on the farm. And Dad said, you know, he said if we put in another patch of potatoes this year, we'd pay off the mortgage. Because us kids had told him, picking up potatoes.
No, that's a lot of work. A lot of bending over.